Welcome back to Library's YouTube channel. In today's class, we'll be learning how to make this beautiful bubu kaftan with external belt. Okay, it's a very simple kaftan tutorial and it is really easy to make. If this is what you like to learn, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. Okay, so making this kaftan is quite simple. You don't need too much measurement. So the first one I'll be doing is my neckline. So here on my neckline, like we normally do, I'll just do the normal regular 3 inches for my width. So here I'm measuring 3 inches for my width. So for the back, I'll be using 1 inch, and then for the front, I'll be going down by 7 inches. Okay, so here I'm connecting my back neckline. I hope the chalk is visible. And then here I'm connecting my front neckline. So the back is 3 by 1 and the front is 3 by 7. Okay, the front is a V neckline. So I've connected the neckline like that. So after connecting my neckline, I'm just going to, and by the way, I'm using 2.5 yards of fabric. You can use 3 yards if you want it really voluminous, for it to have like many drapes. You can use 3 yards, but I'm using 2.5 yards. So the 2.5 yards, I just folded it into 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. So 2 will be for my front and 2 will be for the back bodies. Okay, so now I have 2.5 yards folded into 4. That is the width that I'm working with, and the length is where you want your gown to reach. Okay, in this case I'm using a floor length measurement, so I'm working with this by 60 inches. Okay, I folded my fabric into 4 to get this, and then the length I'm working with is just the length of the fabric. So on this edge now, for my shoulder slope, I'll be going down by 2 inches from here. You can do by 2 or 3 inches. So I'm going down by 2 inches here, and then I'm going to take my ruler and then connect it from that place to my 3 inches where my neckline stops. So now I'm drawing out my shoulder slope. I hope this is visible enough for us. So now after drawing my shoulder slope, the next thing for me is to start taking my circumference measurement. Okay, so this line here is the bust point where we'll be taking the bust measurement. This is the waistline and this is the hip line. So we have the floor length like that. So actually this is a free gown, so we don't really need this to shape this to, it's not going to be tightly fitted. So here I'll just be going inwards by 1 inch for my bust. You can also maintain these measurements that you have here, and then on my waistline you can maintain this, or you can just go in by 2 or 3 inches. So here I'll be going in by 3 inches. So here I'm going in by 1 inch. Okay, so the fitness is around the lower part, not on the upper part. So on the hip line here, the hip measurement I'm working with is 40 inches. So 40 divided by 4 is going to give me 10 inches, which is this. Okay, so for it to be a little free, I'll be adding 6 inches allowance to it. You can do 6, 5, 4 or 7 depending on what you want. Then I'll be connecting these lines together. So this guy is actually shaped almost like a V shape. Okay, so that's how this chalk is visible. Okay, maybe if I finish this, I'm just going to try to illustrate this on the paper so that we can get what I'm saying. Okay, so now I've connected this from here to here. The next thing now is to shape the hemline. So now to shape the hemline, I'm going to take my measurement, and like I explained earlier, the hemline here is actually not big, is a bit fitted. So here I'm just going to use the hip measurement that I used here, which is 10 inches. I'm going to measure the 10 inches here, and then I'll just add 1 inch allowance to it. Okay, so don't worry, this is not going to be too tight because there's still going to be an opening at the center front here, so that will allow you to be able to walk freely in the dress. So now I'm going to be connecting from my hip line to new my hemline measurement now using my ruler. So here I'm connecting from here, this place, and then all the way to my hemline. Okay, so now I'm done making this measurement, but remember the front and back is still together, so I cannot shape what I have on the front, but I can just let me just shape it so that I can cut it when I remove this. So on the front part, like I said, it's still going to be having like an opening on the front. So on the hemline, on the center front area, I'm going to be going inwards by 2 inches here. Okay, so now depending on how high you want your slit to be, you can use your hip line measurement as your guide so that it will not be too much. So here I can go high as 18 inches. Okay, and if you don't want the slit too much, you can do 12, 14, 15 or 16 depending on what you want. So I think I'm fine. This is my hip line, so 18 inches is still fine for me. It's not going to be too revealing. So here on this 18 inches mark now, I'm going to be connecting it from here to the 2 inches that I marked there. So that is going to be the opening that we have in front. So you can see that the 10 inches that we have on our hemline is not going to be affecting the movement. So now I'm going to shift this back so that we can discuss the sleeve. Okay, so now for the sleeve opening of this kaftan is going to be having like an external belt. So that we can tie the external belt outside here, I'm going to be placing my sleeve opening on the waistline. Okay, when I'm arranging this on the mannequin, you will see why I'm doing this. So I'm going to be opening my sleeve here from the shoulder point here up to the waistline. So when I'm sewing, I'm just going to start sewing from my waistline here. Okay, so let me just go inwards by 1 inch a bit so that it will be obvious for us that our sleeve starts from here. So I've gone in by 1 inch here, and then I'm going to blend that to what I have. So now I'm going to cut this shape out, and then we can remove our back panel so that we'll be able to cut out the front. So I cornered it here because of the sleeve opening. Okay, so I've cut this out now. Also, I've cut out my back neckline as you can see here, and then I also cut my shoulder slope. So now I'm going to open this out now and then remove the back part so that I can cut out my front neckline and my front slit. So now the back is removed. I'm just going to reshape it like this, and then I'll take my scissors and then cut out my V-shaped neckline for the front. So it is cut out now. And also on the hemline, remember we did like a V shape here too. So I'm cutting that out too. So we are done. Basically that is all we need to do. The next thing for us is just to sew it, and sewing it is also quite simple. So to sew this now, but you need to cut facing for both front and back first if you are doing this. So I don't want this video to be too long, so I'm just going to do this anyway. So to sew it now, after turning with your facing, you're going to be placing your main fabric, your front and back bodies together like this. Okay, so this is the hemline. Okay. Okay, so this is the back neckline. So now I'm going to be placing the shoulder against each other like this, and then I'm going to join the shoulder together on both sides. And then on this side also, remember I went inside by 1 inch so that my sleeve opening will be obvious. So on this sleeve opening here, I'm going to sew it from here all the way down to shape the sides on both sides also. And then I'm going to be turning the armhole and also hemming the slit that we have here. Okay, so but before I go, I just want to quickly explain this with a paper again. Okay, so let me quickly explain this now. So this is my bust point, this is my waistline, this is the hip, and this is the hemline. Okay, so here on the upper part here, I went in by 3 inches, 3 inches by 1 inches for my back neckline, and 3 inches by 7 inches for my front neckline. Okay, then on the outer edge here, I went down by 2 inches for my shoulder slope, then I connected from that place to my neckline. Okay, to the 3 inches neckline. So now the next thing is for me to go ahead and shape them. So now on the bust, I said because it's a free gown, I just went in from the outer space here by 1 inch. On the waistline here, I went in by 3 inches, and then on the hip line, I measured my hip measurement, which was 40 divided by 4, and it gave me 10 inches. So the 10 inches stopped here, and I added 6 inches allowance to it, which stopped here. So the next thing was to connect all these points together. So I connected from my hip to the waist, and then from the waist to the bust, and then to the shoulder point here. Okay, it will be looking funny here because I did not actually take any measurement, but that is what we have. So on the hemline here, I maintained the measurement that I have for my hip, which was 10 inches. So I measured the 10 inches here, and then I added 1 inch allowance to it. So from there, I just connected it back to my hip. So that is the shape that we have. So if you're going for the back panel, you just need to cut this out now. Your neckline and your back is ready. But for the front, there is a slit here. So for the slit, I just went from my center front, I went inwards by 2 inches here, and then here I said it depends on how low you want it to be. So for me, I just from the hemline, I just went up by 18 inches for that shape, and then I used my ruler to connect it in a V shape, and then I cut it out. So I hope we understand this. Now I'm going to sew it and then bring it back to show us. Okay, so here is a quick tip I just want to show us on this tutorial. So now I've put this on fold by the center front. Okay, so this is what we actually have. This is the front and this is the back. This is the V shape that we have in front. So now I'm just going to be folding it like this, in a way that I have my center front facing me like this, and that is the center back, and this is the V shape that we have in front. So if you want this V shape to be really pronounced, okay, so you can actually connect it from where you want it to stop. Remember, we used around 18 inches here. Let me show. Okay, so remember we measured from the hemline upwards by 18 inches. Okay, so you can even make it go higher. So let's say I'm just adding 2 inches to this, so it will fall around the knee area. Okay, which is not too much for me. So from here now, or from here, you're going to be connecting it to your, and remember on the hemline I just went inwards by 2 inches here to connect it. So if you really want it to really show, you can either connect it from here to your center front allowance here. Okay, I hope you understand what I'm saying. So I'm going to be connecting it from here like this all the way to your the edge of your center front. You can see that this is the side seam that we have here. Okay, and then you cut it out. Another way you can even cut it is by connecting it from here all the way to your center back. So that way the leg will be opened and it's going to be showing visibly, if that is the style you are going for. So I just want to quickly show us the variations that we can have depending on what you have in mind. So you can actually create it. If you want just something simple, like a simple V shape, you go in by 2 inches like we did earlier. You just measure 2 inches the one and connect it. If you want it to be moderate, you can just connect from upper part here, and then you connect it downwards to the side seam of your center front. But if you want it to be really showing and you want the leg to also be showing, you connect it from the upper part here all the way to the center front. So now let me connect it to the center back, sorry, to the hemline of the center back. Let me connect this and we'll see what it looks like. So I've connected from here now to the center back, and I've cut it out. So I'll take it to the mannequin so that we'll see the effect this is giving us as against what we have before. Okay, so this is the kaftan. Like I said, you just need to add facing to this neckline, and this is the shoulder. We've sewn the shoulder together also, and the side. So we started the side seam from the waistline here, okay, and I made my sleeve opening on the waistline because I'll be adding an external belt to it. So now the belt will be passing through this waist, through the waist measure, through this waist opening that I have. That is why the sleeve opening was extended to the waistline. So now to add the belt, okay, so I'm using this piece of fabric as my belt. You should make a proper belt. So like I said, we stopped the sleeve opening on the waistline so that we'll be able to tie our external belt to it. So you're going to tie this belt by just placing this like this, and then the opening that you have here, you try to put your hand inside, and then you do the same for the other side also. You put your hand through the sleeve opening inside the body, and then you're going to tie the rope. Okay, so you can see that this rope will even give it some form of drapes in front. So now I'm just putting my hand behind inside my body, not on the external part. I'm still going to show us that one. You will see that it is free. So you can either tie the belt inwards, or you can just turn it outside, then you tie it outside so that it can form like a bow with the belt. So the belt is tied now. You can see that the front now is fitted, and we have some drapes here, okay. And then if you turn it to the back, you will see that the back is still free. So this is the back. You can see that it is free and the belt is not showing. So you tie the belt inside the body, not outside, okay. So this is the dress now, and you can see how lovely this is looking. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you enjoyed this, kindly give this a thumbs up, like, comment and subscribe to our channel if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so this is what our external belt is looking like. You can either tie it inside to the waist, or you tie it in a way that your knot will be outside. Either way you choose is fine. And this is the lower part. You can see that the V shape now is very obvious as against what we had before. So with the 2 inches that we took before, our V shape will not be this obvious. So if you want your leg to be opening, you should go with this last method that we did. But if you don't want it to show, you can stick to the first method that we did, and it's really lovely. This is what it looks like on the front, and the back looks like this. So you can see that it is still free on the back, and the hemline on the back also has taken like a form of a V shape because we connected from the center back, the hemline of the center back, to where our opening starts on the front. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you enjoyed this, kindly give this a like, thumbs up, share with your friends, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.